Hi, everyone. This is Bart Moyers with Snyder Realty, and today I have the privilege of having Phil Lamb from Iron Valley Real Estate in Florida on the line with us. And Phil, it's great to have you.
Thank you, sir. I haven't seen you in a while. How are things with you?
Quite a while, and for our audience, I've known Phil for 40 years. That's a long time, my friend.
Yeah, that's yeah. Time's moving on. That's all I got to say. Time's moving on. We got to keep up with it, right?
That's right. Well, I'm excited to hear about what you're into. Phil actually sold me my first house in California some 20 years ago, and today we have Phil on the line to talk about a very important subject. Here it is: what real estate brokerages don't want their agents to know. And Phil, I'm very interested in this topic. This is really important. Why don't you just start with this question? Could you define what office culture ought to be?
Well, I think office culture for years, and I learned this over the years because I love cultures. I love the Latin culture. I love the Asian culture. I just think culture is so important because it's how we grew up, right? And you grew up in one culture, I grew up in another culture. But I think it's probably the most misused term in the real estate, right? If you go into any brokerage and there's certain things that all agents are looking for: support, a good culture. And you ask the broker, do you have a good culture here? What are they going to say? Absolutely, we have the best. And I never will forget what Chris Heller taught me, probably one of the geniuses in real estate years ago. And he says, Phil, you can't define culture. You can only experience it. And I thought, that's interesting. You really don't know what culture is till you get into that office. I can sit here and tell you. So I don't think that culture in an office or a brokerage is defined by, core values. Everybody's got to have their core values. They've got to have this list on the wall. No one cares, because what really matters is how you treat people, how you treat your agents, and how your agents feel treated. That's culture, right? And brokerages are like ice creams, right? Bart, what is your favorite ice cream?
It is called praline pecan, Bluebell from Texas. Don't see it much.
Oh, I love Bluebell. But watch this. My favorite ice cream is vanilla. My mom's homemade vanilla ice cream. Now, that doesn't make praline a bad ice cream. It's just there are all kinds of agents that fit into all kinds of models. And I don't think we can bash brokerages. I think they have a place, and there's a certain amount of people that have gone to them. But defining culture is probably impossible in words. It's the actions. I'll give you an example of this. I had a lady that called me, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks, Bart. And she was telling me about, she left her brokerage and she went to another brokerage. And while she's calling me, I'm not sure, but I don't mind taking phone calls. This is my life. This is what I do 7 days a week. And she said, you know what? I need your help. I left this brokerage and I went to another brokerage, not mine, not one that I'm involved with. And where I'm leaving, I had a big closing and they told me I was going to get my split. And when I moved over, they cut me back 50-50 because that's what's in the contract. And I said, well, I understand, but it's in the contract. So that's the way it's going to be probably. And she goes, well, it just pisses me off. And I said, I understand. You worked hard. It was your customer. You did all the work. But that is their culture defined. Now, I'm sure if you called up that broker and said, what is your culture? Oh, we got a great culture. We do all. No, you just defined your culture by how you treat people, even though it's in the contract. Now, and I asked her right at the end, Bart, which is kind of interesting. I asked her, I said, can I ask you something? And it's none of my business. I just want to know, how many people have you told this story? She goes, about 1,000. I said, let me ask you this. If they're giving you a normal split, how many people would you have told? She goes, my husband.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that defines their culture. That's who they really are. I don't care what they say on paper. So My point to that was it's going to be hard for the broker to recruit because, Bart, as you and I both know, for many, many years, real estate's local.
Yeah.
And when she said she talked to 1,000 people, probably a little bit on the high side, right? But I know this, that broker's going to have a hard time recruiting. Why? Because you just defined your culture and you're letting someone else explain it. That's never a good scenario. So I think culture is something we live and we feel. And honestly, to me, the most easiest way to define culture is how does it make you feel? How do you feel treated?
That works.
That
works.
is culture.
So you alluded to the idea of just being agent centric in your description of culture there. What does that look like? How can a brokerage really be agent centric when you have so many other things to worry about, the bottom line and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, we are in business, right? Every brokerage is in business. Every agent is in business. I hadn't thought about it if you said that, but the word agent centric is passed around a lot now. Everybody, we have buzzwords, right? Every culture has buzzwords. Now we're in this buzzword of we're agent centric. Well, again, you don't have to define it. You look at how you treat your agents when they're there. Are you there for them? Do you answer the phones? I had an agent that told me, I don't know, it's been 2 months ago now, Bart, and said, my broker told me he doesn't take calls on the weekend. Okay, well, and why are you still there? Right? You're not agent centric. We take calls Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, that's our job, right? That's why we got in this business. And if I didn't want to take calls on the weekend, I wouldn't have become a broker. I would have done something else, 9 to 5, 5 days a week. If you love what you do, you're going to be agent centric. And that to me kind of boils down pretty simply to the fact, I'm here for you. I'm here to support you. And my thing on that agent centric, Bart, is the agent doesn't work for me. I understand the legalities of being a broker. Okay, so we don't need to go down that hole. But my feeling is I work for the agent. The agent is the one that gets out there and sweats it out. And you and I have both been agents for a long time, all right? But the agent's the one that builds that relationship. The agent is the one that has their customers. And if I'm not here to support them, it's not agent centric. I don't care what it says on the wall. I don't care what they tell me when I walk in. That's the reason I always say to people, when you're getting ready to go in a new office, call everybody in that office, see whether they like it or not. Are they intimidated to stay there, so they're afraid? I don't get that, but whatever. Or do they love being there? What is it that they love about being there? That's agent centric. And if that broker won't give me a list of the agents to call, I'm not interested. I just go somewhere else because those agents should be his biggest fan. And if they're not, it's not agent centric. So it's just cool stuff, right? Because it's just something that brokerages won't, I'm not sure they won't tell you. I think they don't even know. They're blind to the reality because agents kind of told them what they wanted to hear instead of what they really think, which sets up a bad culture when people can't be honest with you.
Well, you had me at being accessible during the weekends. How many times have I had a question and have just gone with whatever I thought was best with my contract, only to find out on Monday morning the broker's saying, no, back in the early days. Right. So that's really important, Phil. Very, very good.
That is a prime example of what is not agent centric.
Yeah.
that is broker centric, and I will get to you when I am free to get to you.
Yeah. Exactly.
I tell you what, Bart, this business is tough enough as it is.
Yeah.
And the broker should be there to make my business easier.
That's great. Hey, Phil, define traditional brokerages and the 100% model for us.
I've been in both. Traditional brokerages are what we call in the sales world, the business sales world. I have a great friend who sells businesses. He calls it the legacy model. And he said that's a dying model. I'm going to buy a business. I'm going to be here for 200 years because it's just a dying model. You see their numbers going down, but I think they have a place. I think traditional models still have a place for some people. They're content where they are. They're not worried about making a lot more money. They've been doing it long enough. They've got a good customer base. They do offer more support than some of the 100% places. That they have bigger buildings if that's important to you. And typically they take a lot of your check. Not maybe that's not important to you. If you want to give your money away, I get that. It's your money. Give it away. 30%, 40%, 15%. It's up to you, right? But they typically take a lot, and they have a lot of fees on there that agents just don't pay attention to. $50 here, $100 there. And that's your traditional. They normally have a bigger name, brand recognition. For some people, that's important. For other people, it doesn't matter because my customers are going to do business with me no matter where I am, right? And I always believe that. And I moved brokerages from traditional, I moved. And my customers always go with me because they don't really care about what brokerage I'm with. They care that I'm honest and fair and that I work hard for them. So you have that model. And then you have the other model that came along, and it's been around a while, the 100% model. Hey, come be with us. We take everybody, just sign up. We got over this many agents. And one of their weaknesses that we found, and I, as you well know, own a real estate coaching company for years, is that they don't do the support that they were used to. So there's very little support. There's even one that I read where they have a broker hotline. That's not agent centric, and they got back to them like 3 days later. Well, in this world, getting back to me 3 days later, Bart, because we're moving like this, right? Real estate moves almost instantaneously. And yeah, you make a little more money as long as you don't get into a lawsuit because you didn't do something right. But those are for more independent kind of people that never need any help. They're looking for the paycheck, and they're out there, and there are people that fit very well in those.
Good. So what do you think COVID did to change the real estate world? What do you think?
I don't think that COVID changed the real estate world. I think it sped it up. And what I mean by that, you could see before COVID, because we eat and breathe this stuff, you could see before COVID, we were already making the changes. You were already seeing more people working from home. You were already seeing people, and I'm talking about real estate professionals that were less interested in how big their buildings were, because a lot of them weren't even going in anyway. But what happened then when COVID came along, it just sped it up. People go, see, we're already on this path, and now it's moving at a much faster rate. So I think real estate has changed, but I'm not sure that COVID changed it. I think it just gave it a quicker speed of how it was going to change anyway. I think it was already going more to the internet. I think it was already going more toward smaller buildings. I mean, we see this all over. We got these big buildings, and I'm sure you have them there in Denver as well, where, they got 2-story buildings, one big building, and they're renting them out. Why? Because they're not making any money in those things anymore, unless they're taking a lot of money from the agents, and that could be. But they're renting them out. Why? Because COVID sped that up. But I think it was already going that way. I think people are more interested in the culture than they are in the building. I think people are agents, that is. I think they're more interested in how to be agent-centric truly than they are the brand anymore. Because with the internet, this is what's beautiful about real estate. With the internet, you can brand yourself so quickly if you know what you're doing. So I don't know that it changed it. It's got a lot quicker. I guess it did change some things, Bart, now that I think of it, but it was more, I think it's beautiful. I mean, COVID wasn't beautiful, but I like where we're going now. It's beginning to look to me a lot more modern. We're getting away from this old traditional marketing departments that these companies have, and there's sales pitches, to get you, hey, you come in here, we'll give you 1,000 postcards. Well, the reality is probably didn't cost them that much. It's a sales pitch, and I hope it works. And for some people, I'm sure it must work.
Well, last question, and since you brought up the idea of change, COVID did change us. We're in a different market right now. We're post-COVID. How does a realtor just go with the punches? I mean, how does a realtor really expect change, do well with change? I'll let you have the final word here.
Okay. Well, that could take a long time, right? No, I'm just kidding. First of all, change for some people is very difficult, right? But when you're in sales, change happens all the time, right? So yeah, we seem to be, what I'm hearing, and normally the wave starts on the West Coast and it comes across to the East Coast. And we're already seeing some slowdowns in different areas, right? Different pockets. You may be in a pocket in the same city where that pocket is slowing down, this one's not. You'll always have that. That's not new to real estate. But we see it changing. I mean, your interest rates are going up. People are now afraid they're not going to be able to get a house, but also from a listing side, I'm afraid if I don't sell it now, if the interest rates go so high, I'm going to lose money. There's always change. But I think the key to me is for that real estate agent is to understand people will always buy homes and people will always sell homes in any market. What real estate brokerages don't want you to know is, can they keep up, right? Can they keep up with the change? Because if you're in I guess what we call a legacy model, I have to ask my buddy what all that means anyway, next time I see him. But if you're in a company that can't keep up with, if they're not changing, if they're not growing, if they're not expanding, if they're not modern, no matter how many years they've been around, it's going to be very difficult for them to help you do that. You need to be, what the brokerage needs to tell you is, we've been doing it this way for 10 years. Well, if you've been doing it this way for 10 years, you're behind. If you've been doing it for 20 years, you're way behind. And if I, as a brokerage or a broker, can't keep up, how can I help an agent keep up? But you embrace the change, and it's here. I mean, it's coming. We're going to see it. It always does. You and I have both been through a great cycle, a bad cycle, and hopefully we live long enough to go through a couple more cycles. Who knows? But you got to be in a place where they embrace change, because if not, you're going to get left behind. And here's what happens. Remember back in 2006, 7, 8, right through there, all these people started getting out of the business. Why? They didn't want to pay the dues. Well, that could happen again. I don't know. We don't know where this thing is going. I just know how to be prepared for it. And you need to make sure you're in a brokerage that understands change, because if they're not changing, how can they help you change? Right?
Yeah.
And speaking of change, Bart, the biggest change that I'm seeing is a lot of these brokerages, and they're ice cream, right? Some like pralines, some like vanilla, some like strawberry. Is that they don't understand who their customers really are. And to me, that is one of the most important aspects of being a brokerage. Understand who your customers are, right? So for me, when I look at it, my customers are the people that I work with, right? So if you're a brokerage, your customers should be your agents.
Right.
That if I'm a broker, you're in my office, you're my customer. I got to treat you like a customer. I got to be with you like a customer, like you would if you're selling houses, right?
Good. That's really good.
And I think a lot of these brokerages are having, especially in that traditional model, they somehow think they own the agent for getting their 1099s.
Yeah.
They're going to have trouble with the IRS if they ever get caught. And then, yeah, that's pretty stern law. And our federal government, no matter what they say in your state, our federal government doesn't smile on that very well. But your customer then are those that you sell homes from. And if a brokerage doesn't understand who their customers are, they're in trouble. That model is going, and it's going quickly. And if you don't believe it, look at all these big brands that are being bought out. Why? Well, there's a reason you get bought out. So I think change is coming. We'll continue to see change. You and I both love change. It's good for us, keeps us from becoming stale, gives us a fresh start, right? But I would always say to the agents, be to the flavor you love.
Yeah.
Because after all, it's just work.
I love it. I think the line that hit me the most was, if you're an agent, you are a customer. Boy, what a message. That's a thinker, Phil. I do appreciate all the answers to these questions. And Phil Lamb, Iron Valley Real Estate in Florida. It's been my privilege to have you today. And everyone, I hope that you've enjoyed this time talking about what real estate brokerages don't want their agents to know. And Phil's also a coach. He's been my coach. A lot of people call Phil Coach Phil. And you're welcome to call him too at 904-770-1088. Once again, Phil Lamb, Iron Valley Real Estate in Florida. Great being with you, my friend, for many, many years.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, and I hope this was helpful. And if anybody wants to reach out with us, even if you disagree with something I say, it's okay. You won't hurt my feelings. Just let me know what you think. I love the feedback. And Bart, you are awesome. You're an awesome real estate professional. You've been doing it for many, many years. And I appreciate the invite just to be here and share, and I hope it's been helpful.
You bet. Well, everyone have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.